Welcome to the Business Legends Podcast, where we interview business leaders and entrepreneurs so that you can learn from their successes, become inspired, and meet the people that make change happen. I'm the host of the show, Reese Arlen, and today I'm accompanied by Mr. Quo Vadis himself, the amazing Isaac Alexander. Isaac, thanks for joining me this morning.
Thank you for having me, Reese.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's dig right into it. Tell our listeners what Quo Vadis is and what types of stuff that you guys do.
Sure. Quo Vadis is a MSP by definition, so
Okay.
we're a managed service provider for IT, and you could really just kind of boil it down to, for those who aren't familiar with MSP, we're an outsourced IT provider. So we provide everything from network solutions to help desk support, project management, and everything, as my father-in-law says, from soup to nuts.
Soup to nuts, gotcha. And cybersecurity, right, as well. Okay, very good. And so you guys are like Geek Squad on steroids, basically, because you guys have the full concierge benefit and stuff. So
we don't have the cool trucks yet.
Okay, not yet, but they're coming. They're coming. So how often are how often?
See, now you're picturing that.
I am. I totally am. But I was gonna say, how often are issues solved by unplugging things and plugging them back in? By the way.
I'm not the guy to ask that.
Yeah,
but it is.
It does happen.
It's a frequent thing. So
yeah.
I hit up one of our team leads the other day. I was like, "Hey, my internet's running slow." He was like, "Have you unplugged your modem?"
Yeah, power cycle.
No. I was like, "I'm your worst enemy. I really am."
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I'm not a tech guy.
Mm-hmm.
I joined the company kind of from the outside looking in.
Okay.
And so. My experience as a technology person is very little,
mm-hmm.
but more from a business and strategic standpoint. So,
yeah, I mean,
which is where my father-in-law, and who owns the business, and many others are lead techs and just have a wealth of knowledge, which is fantastic for me to be able to lean on.
Yeah, and sometimes it helps with that system, because you can talk to people like me that don't know anything about MSPs and stuff like that, and kind of come down to our level, so to speak. With
it's been
that
very
stuff,
very beneficial in that light.
Yeah, for sure. Now explain once again for our listeners. Explain what your role is in Quo Vadis. Like what does your day to day look like?
Sure.
It's not unplugging routers.
So we sat there. My father-in-law looks and his name is Joseph. He's like, "So what should your title be?"
Mm-hmm.
I really don't know. So we just came up with business development manager, and
okay.
really, my goal is to kind of, from a 30,000-foot view, look at the overall business to see how we're structured,
mm-hmm.
how we're functioning operationally, and identify areas where we can grow as a company.
Okay.
Father-in-law started the business 23 years ago. Has been very profitable. We have 200 regular clients. Some of them have been around for 20 years.
Wow. That's incredible.
So it's a very stable and trusted business. So
mm-hmm.
we have a long track record of providing excellent service, but taking it to the next level. Like what's going to help the company to 5x
mm-hmm.
and ultimately allow my father-in-law to kind of take a step back, because
mm-hmm.
as the owner of a business, you recognize.
Sometimes you gotta.
Sometimes it's really difficult to get away.
Yeah, it is.
So when the business revolves around you, it's really difficult to take a step back and focus on the bigger functions that are going to help you strategically grow.
Sure.
Or just take a vacation and not have to worry about what's going to fall apart. So that's kind of where I've come in to provide that perspective.
Yeah.
And then help us with some initiatives to begin that growth.
Yeah, that's incredible. So, can you think of? I mean, when you came in, obviously it's your father-in-law's company, and you've been invited to join this company and kind of do your own, pave your own path to,
sure.
Eventually one day, you told me before the show, the goal is for the company to be yours or to buy into it or whatever else type of a thing. Did you kind of hit the ground running when you came into the company, or did you kind of stand back and say, I want to get to know the system first before I start to make waves?
So the latter.
Okay.
I had some wonderful advice,
mm-hmm.
Not only from Joseph, but from a great mentor of mine. His name's Rob Zinger, and I've known him for, 12 years now.
Wow.
And he mentioned a book right up front, because I just kind of recognize I'm fish out of water here.
Mm-hmm.
This is my background is in mortgage. This is IT. Those could not be further.
Yeah,
from
they're way
same,
different,
right? So
sure.
He gave me a book, or loaned me a book, which I need to return,
mm-hmm.
called The First 90 Days.
Sorry, bro.
And First 90 Days really is a wonderful book for anyone, whether you're just being promoted into a new role, going to a new company, or a brand new industry altogether, that looks at businesses in 4 different groups. You've got your startups, you've got your turnarounds, you've got your businesses that are absolutely failing and just they need an immediate change. You've got your businesses that are just a steady Eddie. It's your Coca-Cola, right? And then you've got your company that needs a refresh. They don't need immediate change, but they are looking for growth, and something is needed in that.
Yeah.
So we are that last one.
Okay.
So we don't need to make changes right now. The business is stable, the business is steady, and there is amazing opportunity to take the foundation that we currently have and then grow it into something that's even bigger. So I've taken the stance based on some wise counsel, both from Joseph and from Rob, to just take a step back, just observe. And so there was no need to go in and start making waves. It wasn't necessary, and it would only have detriment. So I really have taken a very standoffish approach.
Yeah.
And as Anthony, one of our team leads and lead techs, says, he's like, you ask a lot of questions.
That's good. I mean, that proves that you're focused and you're attentive and you want to learn. You know, and especially I think a lot of times it's not necessarily what you ask, but it's how you ask the question. You know, because there's a difference between like, you know, scrutinizing somebody's work versus like, how did you do that? Like, what's this? You know, what's this thing all about? Now, do you guys, or maybe you don't know this, but you know, in order to expand and grow, do you feel like you guys are going to have to expand vertically or horizontally or both? So, like, are you just going to have to get a lot more clients offering what you offer, or are you going to have to expand your service package type of thing?
It's a combination of both. My current observation is much like the mortgage industry, the MSP IT outsourced IT industry is very saturated. I mean, there's companies that are a dime a dozen, and the hardest part, same as in mortgage, is great. In mortgage, you can just click online and start searching for rates, and it's very transparent. Whereas in IT, it's more often than not, I'm finding that you're getting a referral from somebody. It's not as easy because guys like you and I don't know what I'm looking for. All I know is that things just aren't functioning right. Somebody's got their stuff saved. Jim has his stuff saved in the G drive, and I'm using OneDrive, and Sally's just saving everything to her PC, and this doesn't seem to be working, and it's hard for us to function as a company. And I'm just looking for. Oh, and by the way, this Microsoft error just popped up that says I need to call somebody, and it's actually somebody trying to hack my computer. Right. So those are the concerns and things that people who don't already either have a on-site IT staff or a reputable MSP already in place, that they don't know what they don't know.
Right.
And so I think for us, the bigger challenge is breaking out into the market and letting people know who we are and identifying that compelling offer. Like, why would they need us? What's the pain they're currently feeling? And us as an organization identifying what that pain is, and just trying to speak more broadly about that, and then helping them solve that.
And solving whatever their issue happens to be. And you know, the thing that's scary is that, I mean, you know, we operate in the marketing space, so we have, you know, we're on computers all day long and whatnot, and I mean, even we're not immune to cyber attacks and things like this. We got back in 2020, we had an employee open an email, and then it hacked our whole email
package waiting
system.
at UPS. Which they didn't order.
Right. That's a little too close to the heart there, Isaac. But no. But I mean it. So they got into our email systems. So what it was is an email came from one of our clients. It came from our client's email. And it said something like, hey. And it just so happened to be relevant to what we were doing that week for that client. It was like, hey, this is the whatever attached that, you know, we need to do. And so my employee clicked on the attachment, and the next thing you know, they were in our email. And, you know, cyber hackers and whatever you call them, I mean, they're very clever. They basically sent an email out to everyone in our address book that was the same thing, and it was legitimately some like Nigerian prince website or something like this. And then they also set up a rule in the Outlook of any email that comes in automatically deletes. So
Yikes.
It was nuts. And then so our email just it shut down for like a day and a half, and for us that cost us a lot of money because we lost a lot of efficiency, we lost a lot of time, and time's money. So it was
the trust.
Yep.
I mean, I was just reaching out to a group, a networking group I'm a part of, and not only is there the financial loss, because most business owners know per day, if they go down for a day, how much that costs them. Whether it's in revenue, whether it's just in labor, all of the above. So for us, business continuity is a big thing that we provide to our clients, is making sure what's the business continuity look like, and then if there is that data loss, what time period did you lose data for?
Right.
But I was just speaking to a group last week and kind of sharing some stats of why small businesses like yours, and small as anyone under 100 employees, why they're targeted.
Right.
They're targeted 350% more than organizations that are greater than 100 employees.
Wow, I could see that. Yeah.
And then on top of that is
that's the ease of entry with that.
I'm guessing here, because I didn't write the article. What research they did, but if you look at an organization that has less than 100 employees, you're looking at overall revenue on average of what that company would be generating, and they probably either haven't stepped up and hired someone, a CIO, to run their organization from a technological standpoint, or they haven't hired someone like Quo Vadis, who is your outsourced CIO and IT department, and so they're just a lot more vulnerable. Sadly.
Yeah. No, it's a scary thing. Have you, and since you've been in the company, have you seen any crazy like you almost hate to say how smart it is, but have you seen any very clever cyber attacks and things like this? Has there been any new thing that's been nuts?
It's not really the clever side. It's just so we also offer, with all of our clients, we do security awareness training. From my perspective, it's a very run-of-the-mill thing. It's nothing we're doing that is so diverse from other MSPs or other IT providers, but it's the idea behind it is let's not wait until something happens, but let's show you things ahead of time and prepare you so that your employees don't open that attachment. Right. What should they be looking for within that attachment? So it's not that I'm seeing things that are new. Would I even recognize as new? Probably not.
Sure.
But it's interesting how clever they are. So we'll see tickets come through, and I monitor tickets very closely to see what's coming in, so I can see trends, and then we can start kind of tailoring what our efforts go to. But I see quite frequently, hey, this looks suspicious. And fortunately, we've taught our clients very well, and they're identifying this email domain doesn't look quite right for who it should be coming from, or this attachment looks a little funky, or I didn't order anything off of UPS. Why do I have something waiting there? So I'm not seeing anything from a complex level. Granted, again, would I even recognize it with my limited knowledge? Probably not. But
it's the same tricks.
It's just same
blasted,
tricks, and they're so subtle. Yeah, that's the big thing, is they're getting more subtle. Yeah. And just, my father-in-law, Joseph says, when clients ask, well, what's our weakest link? He always points right back at him. He's like, you and I, we are the weakest link.
Yeah, because we're the we're the human element.
That's right.
Yeah. My fear is that one day these whatever cyber hackers, attackers, and all this stuff, they'll get into the actual domain. So they'll get into FedEx.com or UPS.com or whatever type of thing. Because you can only imagine if
they've already been there.
Yeah, which is scary as hell in itself. But it's like, if you get an email from whatever info@ups.com,
that's right,
I'd probably click that. Because that's a legitimate domain, and if it looks legitimate, I mean, if they get into that type of stuff, or worse still, what if they got into Wells Fargo, for instance,
That's right.
And
when they start impersonating and it's coming from that domain,
it's a scary thing. I don't know if there's anybody that would be smart enough to recognize the fluke
unless you've
legitimate.
been attacked or heard someone who's been attacked. For me personally, if I get a text from a company wanting to verify information, or if I get an email from a company wanting to verify information, even as a non-tech person, my go-to is I just go on the web, find the phone number, and I call. Is this a legit thing?
Right.
Because you just, when you're prompted on your phone, it's just
It's pretty sketch.
Yeah. It's way
Super
too easy for
sketchy.
them to impersonate and to not recognize what's actually coming at you.
Yeah, for sure. So I like to talk about innovation. So where do you see MSPs such as yourself? Like what do you think in 10 years, so to speak, like how do you think the additions of AI, for instance, are going to help or hurt your business, and what types of things do you see happening within your realm?
Sure. Well, I guess since AI is already listening to us,
Yeah,
we are.
yeah. They're learning by what you're saying
They're,
right now.
they're not learning anything from me. Who are we kidding?
Yeah.
No, I think just from what I'm seeing right now. So one of the systems that we use is for ticketing. It's for projects.
Mm-hmm.
It's for billing, everything, and we're using a older version, and we are in the process of switching to a newer version or a new program, new provider. And one of the reasons why we're looking at that provider is because within their ticketing system, AI is generated.
Oh, cool.
So it will look and say Sally sends in a ticket from our portal and says, "Hey, my email's not working."
Mm-hmm.
Well, the system is already going to say, "Hey, Sally, have you done this?"
Mm-hmm.
Help Sally try and solve that.
Yeah.
Because it recognizes, well, we understand the environment Sally is already messaging us from,
Mm-hmm.
And then if she's not able to, in a quick little click, fix her issue, well, then it's going to the tech.
Right.
And then within our system is a knowledge base where the tech can say, "Hey, here's the environment. Jim had the same issue yesterday. Here's how we resolved it. Click on this little article."
Mm-hmm.
And even if it's a simple thing, let's say it's a more complex thing, well, they're already able to use AI to recognize this is the same issue that happened last week, last month, yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
within the same organization,
Mm-hmm.
to then help them solve that issue.
Yeah.
Right? Which is really
You think it's common that people come in with the same issues and stuff like that, or
very.
really? Yeah.
So then that helps us to tailor how we have a team called the tech alignment team, technical alignment, and what they do is they focus on each of the clients that we service
Mm-hmm.
and identifying, okay, well, what tickets are commonly coming through within that organization? Because ultimately we want to get to a place where there's virtually no tickets,
Mm-hmm.
not only from our standpoint of a labor standpoint, but from a customer satisfaction standpoint.
Yeah, because it means they're not having problems.
That's exactly right.
Right.
I'd like to get to a place where we can show them, not that they're saying, "Hey, I don't think we need your service anymore. We're not putting tickets." It's like, well, actually, let's get ahead of that and show you, here's why you're no longer having to put in tickets.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what we're doing to align your organization to make your workflows efficient. And that way you don't have to put in tickets. Your team just gets to work and go do what you enjoy doing.
Yeah, yeah, or what's ultimately profitable, because
Exactly.
anytime that you have a cyber issue or something like that, it costs your company money just because it's costing you time. So
And so to
makes
answer
sense.
your question, that's kind of the first step. What the client would experience as well is most websites you go on these days, either they'll pop up immediately and say, "Hey, here's a chatbot
Right.
you can talk to," or if you've hung out on the website for a certain period of time,
You get a pop up.
you get a pop up and say,
sure.
"Hey, have you found what you're looking for?" So
Right.
our portal for our clients will be rolling out, has a chatbot there, and you can say, "Hey, I have an incident that's going on right now," or "I'd like to talk to somebody," and it will immediately ping and allow an agent to call them, or it'll allow them to start and generate a ticket just by quickly typing in what's going on and providing them solutions. So
Yeah.
I would say that's probably where, if you look 10 years down the road, AI is probably solving a majority of the issues that we're doing.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So then you have to innovate now to find, okay, well, if that's going to be like the common thing where Google, I don't have to go into a library and search up a subject. Now Google solves that for me. Well, then what would the innovation look like 10 years down the road? And our standpoint is it's probably more of a consultative approach where having a virtual CIO, having someone who can come in and still say, here's the direction that you're trying to take your company. Here's where technology can provide a solution for that. AI is going to do all this stuff, but here's where you and I are going to work together.
Yeah. No. It's interesting because obviously with marketing we deal with Meta almost every day, and we have an old businessman. I mean, we've been in business since 2017, so we have like a grandfathered in business manager account. So for instance, if I go to support.meta.com, I will have a blue button on there that'll say like contact an agent, right? And assuming that you don't have an old business manager on Meta, for instance, you won't have that button just based on your Facebook log. And we've seen it a million times. And for the longest time, I didn't even realize that. I didn't realize that you didn't have that button. We just do because we have the old business manager, right? And so, I would consult with clients and tell them to put in a ticket, and they say, well, I don't see where to put it in. I said, well, let's hop on Zoom and see where this is at. And then lo and behold, no blue button. So it's just it's bizarre, but I think there's a give and a take to this, especially the support articles and things like this, because on one hand, if it's something simple, support article fixes it, taken care of, whatever. But on the other hand, if you have a complex issue, like I feel like people can get annoyed, right? If they keep clicking, oh God, I have to do this for 5 minutes, or how many times have you called whatever, and it's like, for this press 1. Now that you're here, and for this press 1, 2, or 3, and then for this, and you just go through that cycle instead of whatever.
And I really am trying to be approaching things. One of my benefits, as you already named, is that being a non-tech person, I really try to take the approach of, well, how would I experience this as a client?
It's so important.
How would I experience this? And not thinking about it from a standpoint of, well, I'm a tech, and if I do it this way, that's going to generate a lot of work.
Right.
Hate to say it, but I don't care. I do from a labor standpoint, but from a innovation standpoint, if this will generate a better customer experience, that's what I'm after.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this like you're walking
into
my bakery shop.
Yep.
How happy are you to arrive at our bakery shop?
Yeah.
What will cause you to continue coming in? Because at some point you're going to get tired of the croissants.
Right. Yeah.
Or somebody else is going to provide a better one.
Yep. Or even a different one.
Or even a different one.
Yep.
Right. So, to me, the idea is that during a recent call I had with one of our clients, the whole purpose of it was I just wanted to hear some feedback.
Yeah.
Here's a series of questions I want to talk to you about. And she referenced, well, I'd like there to be some kind of a knowledge base. Like, I want my team to be able to solve their own issues. Great. Okay. That was great feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, the new product that we're leaning towards
is already
going to offer that.
Yep.
And so giving a client the ability as far as they want to take it, where they can, if they're a kind of technologically advanced person, or they've got a bent towards solving things on their own, they want to fix it, okay, great. Go on your little rabbit trail and figure that out. And for some folks, they just want to pick the phone up.
Yeah.
We want to give that client an avenue for whatever their method is, within reason, to be able to solve their own issues or achieve resolution as quickly as possible in their own method.
Yeah. It's interesting because I think that clients in general have like a threshold. It's almost like a annoyance threshold or something like that, and it's like I feel like they have a threshold of how long am I willing to go down the rabbit hole and search for my own solution versus calling somebody and that type of thing. And everyone
Mine
is
different. Very short.
Yours is very short. Okay. No, it's funny because I'm thinking about our web developer Corey. He's been building websites for us now for 5 years, and he is the most self-sufficient person I've ever met, to the point where me saying that is a very negative thing, because he'll spend 4 hours searching for an answer that he could have figured out in 5 minutes just by picking up the phone, type of thing. Yeah. Because sometimes the information just simply isn't out there, type of thing. But it's interesting. Everybody kind of has, like I said, everybody has their own threshold. But you just have to meet the customer where they're at, and
that's right.
If they're the type that wants to figure out their own answer, give them a good resource. And if they're the type that just wants you to resolve the issue, then you have to give them that resource as well.
Exactly. Because some things it's not possible for them to resolve on their own.
Right.
And if their email is not flowing and their clients can't email them, well, that's an issue.
Right.
They need that resolved right now. So we just want to try and give them the method in which they most prefer. If it's texting, if it's emailing, if it's calling, if it's doing it on their own.
Yeah.
What method makes them the happiest? Because everybody's completely different.
Yeah. It's tough to and that's a hard lesson that we've learned in business, is that you have to meet the customer where they're at. So
that's right.
You have to communicate on the channel they prefer. You have to meet them where they're at with whatever, whether it's the time of the meeting or the solution that you provide, type of thing.
That's right. You also talk about innovation. One of the offerings that this new product has is an integration within Teams. And if you can kind of imagine the world we live in right now, either A, you go online and you do your little chat thing, and you have no clue who the person is on the other end of the line.
Sure.
Right? Or you call in, and again, you get somebody who's out of the country, or you get somebody who is in the country but just doesn't quite seem like they're up to the challenge, right?
Yeah.
And
Or invested in your well-being, you know.
absolutely. So one of the offerings this has, I just discovered it yesterday, and want to kind of test it out with a couple of our clients that have a threshold they want to try new things. Is it has an integration with Teams, and most of our clients are already on the Microsoft network, right? So their email is already through Microsoft, so they've already got a Teams account. What if they just had a Teams call, a video call with their tech right there to solve that issue? It creates that much more relationship with the company they're working and interacting with. Now the tech can recognize this person's quite frustrated visibly. Their tone is quite calm, but you can tell they're frustrated.
Right.
And it helps you just to work through those challenges and problem solving together, just as if they were sitting right next to you and helping you fix that problem.
That's a really cool idea, and I definitely think that as we become more technologically advanced, I've been thinking that for a long time though, but you know, I think that it'll be more normal. So instead of, you know, if I'm a client of yours, for instance, instead of me picking up the phone and calling you, like actually calling you through one of those channels, one of those Teams channels or whatever, we have a longtime friend and client that he uses WhatsApp, like it's going out of business and stuff, and which is great because with WhatsApp you can text people from your computer, which is awesome. But he'll video call us through WhatsApp all the time, you know, and it's like, there he is, you know, like that. But again, he's pretty technologically advanced, but it's just interesting. Like I think that people will get to that point. We use Slack instead of Microsoft Teams, by the way, and I don't know what it is, but I think that Microsoft, like, I'm like allergic to Microsoft Teams. Like every time I use it, it just doesn't work for me. I don't know why. Like I'll try to share my screen and it'll kick me off the call and stuff. I have no idea why, but you know, there's also
someone that could help you.
Yeah, well, yeah, me too. But it's just, I don't know, it's just so interesting. But you know, we've just been using Slack for so long now, we're just accustomed to it, I guess. But you know, here's a real deep cut reference. It's totally okay if you don't get it, but you remember like Windows 95?
Yes.
Do you remember like the Microsoft Office Word 95 and had like the paperclip?
And love the paperclip.
Yeah, what was it?
And then it became animated.
Yeah, and it was like, the name of the paperclip was like Clippy or something like that. But it's so funny because I think that was kind of ahead of its time. And I've been saying, like, I think we're going back to Clippy now because we have AI generated solutions and stuff like that when people have questions. But the difference, of course, is that was like a support help article, whereas now, you know, you can ask ChatGPT, for instance, like, how do I fix blank or whatever, right. You know? So it's a scary world we live in that, you know, I feel like our intellectual capacity is slowly being taken over by digital solutions that come quickly, you know?
Yes. I recently listened to an interview with Elon Musk. And
he's very interesting.
He's very interesting, and I take him seriously. And the capabilities of where AI can go, if we allow it to, is
very scary.
Is daunting.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I've read some very scary apocalyptic type, you know, stuff, and honestly, you can see it. I mean, it's literally what the whole plot of the Terminator is about, you know. But I mean, you have to recognize that possibility, you know.
Certainly.
I don't know. It's a scary thing. So, you know, with I should put that on silent. I'm sorry. So, you know, with Quo Vadis, so you're 6 months in now. Is that right?
6 months in.
Have you? So you did your first 90 days, and you kind of sat back and observed and saw the things that you saw. Have you started to integrate anything else? So you're switching to a new system. So was that your idea, or was that just kind of a team idea as a whole?
It was not. It was a team idea as a whole.
Okay.
I really am not at the helm of like saying, hey, here's where we need to take these systems.
Sure.
But from multiple different departments, we were recognizing that the system we were currently using, I won't name the system.
Okay. Smart.
But the one we were using was just not what we were sold. And unfortunately, in the IT world, a lot of the providers, they run on contracts, 2-3 year contracts.
Yeah.
And
long
so
time.
You really have to vet them out up
Yep.
front and not just take their word for it, but all right, show me
Right.
how this works. Give me a trial. Let me prove that it will work. And so that's been really what we're working on right now is that we're going to make small incremental changes, nothing that's a knee-jerk reaction, and
or like flipping things upside down type of thing.
And in the IT space across the board, everything is so shiny. Everything looks so good, and there's certain sales that are involved there,
Of course,
to convince you that this is the best new thing, and you have to have this to run your business. And taking a step back, in mortgage industry can be the same way, but trying to take a step back and say, what are the bare bones? What's the foundation we need to operate our business? And then recognize that there are things you can bolt on to this system over time. And so that's really where we're focusing in right now, is what's the foundation of our business? And my thought process is, and I'm certain it's kind of an ignorant or old school approach, but what foundational systems can we latch onto right now that will carry us through for the next decade?
Yeah.
The pushback I get is that this environment grows so quickly, you don't want to become attached so closely to something that you can't get out of it. Unfortunately,
with 2 and 3 year contracts,
well, two of the providers that we're going to go to, or two of the products that we're going to go to, they're month to month.
Yeah.
And to me, that's a recognition from that provider. Our product is that good that we don't need to rope you into a 3-year contract that you can't get out of.
Yeah.
So that to me is very encouraging. And so we're kind of redefining our foundation.
Yeah.
And the offerings, which the clients, they don't know these companies.
Right.
But it's the foundation that helps us provide the support and the experience that they have.
Yeah, best value for your customer.
Yeah.
I'm seeing that a lot more in all forms of solutions and services. There was a time when, for instance, when we first opened the business, it was pretty commonplace for a marketing contract to have a 6-month minimum on that. We switched over probably 2019. We do a 3-month minimum, and then month to month beyond that always. And
that's with your clients?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And with marketing, the first month is a lot of like getting to know the company and things like that.
Sure.
So it doesn't really achieve, you can't just snap your fingers and have amazing.
They don't go gangbusters.
Yeah. Exactly. So that's where we developed that from. But it's I think that's kind of the way to go with business. That there's no need to have a super long-term contract, because you have to have confidence in your product.
Certainly.
So
ours start out with a 1-year. Back in the day, it was just on a handshake, and that was the agreement. And granted, our business historically has been 100% referral. There's been zero marketing, zero sales, and we've grown organically to have 200 clients.
Yeah, that's incredible.
That are with us every single month.
Yeah.
And then over time, just from a business standpoint, it was decided, okay, well, for all new clients, we're going to sign up for 1 year, because there is a lot of growth that has to happen. We don't sign up on day one, snap our fingers, and then now they've got the most beautiful network and they're completely locked tight and no one can get in. It takes time, and there's planning and there's organizing that goes along with that.
Yeah.
So,
security risk assessment and all sorts of stuff.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
So, and getting the employees of that organization to
not click on the UPS package.
Not even that, but just working with the leaders of that company to ensure that all employees will engage us, so that we can do the things that we need to do, because there are certain things we actually need their help with.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So again, same as you. It's not just you snap your fingers and we have the organization buttoned up exactly the way we want. It takes time. So.
Yeah. It's interesting.
And then once that happens, we flip over currently and go from a 1-year contract to a month to month. And most of our clients, once they join us, they don't go anywhere.
Yeah, and it just reflects the great service that you offer them. So it makes perfect sense. Well, we are running out of time, Mr. Isaac. So I always like to try to cast off with a funny question or that type of thing. So you've seen the Apple ProVision goggles and all this, right? Okay. So how would or could you integrate something like that into Quo Vadis? The augmented reality, like everything. I haven't seen anybody with them either, by the way. I have a friend that has used it, like he did like a trial of it or whatever. But I don't know
if they were those kind of goggles. My brother-in-law, he used a pair. His team at the company he works for, they acquired a pair of those goggles, and he was able to use them. And I got to try them on. It was the wildest experience. We were out in space, and like you could control and
Oh,
move
God.
yourself around and, like an astronaut.
Yeah.
I have no clue how we could integrate that into our system, other than maybe if you were to say 10 years down the road, kind of like the question you had before, maybe it's an experience where you are in the environment with your client, sitting next to them, looking at their computer and walking through their office, and maybe that is able to remove that need to be on site. Because some of the things we do are, not everything is 100% remote.
Right.
We do deploy our guys and have them go on site and work on things, but maybe that would be an interesting way to use those goggles to place them on site, and rather than looking at a document or a PDF that shows the environment or shows the building,
you actually see the building,
through the building, and can help them problem solve.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's a fun question.
You're gonna go get a pair of those glasses now, but they're so expensive. But
that is an interesting question.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're gonna that'll be in a month. That'll be your big moment. You're gonna get people the Apple Pro Vision goggles or whatever, and say we can visit our clients.
All right,
that
Sally,
haven't
put these
visited them.
goggles on. I need you to walk around. Or it'll be a robot. By then, it'll be a robot that walks around the office for you.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It'll be interesting times over the next decade or two when we turn into our 40s and stuff. But
it was only 2008 when the iPhone came out, so we're not.
Which is crazy, 16 years.
Yeah.
So it's I think that is the overarching goal of AR and VR though, is that one day it'll be to where, you and I will both have a set of goggles or whatever, and like I can call you through the thing, and then it's almost like we're right next to each other.
We're together.
So it's scary. But anyway, well, man, thank you so much for joining today. And for our listeners, Quo Vadis is not the evil company in the show The Resident, but it is an actual company. But I just couldn't get over that because I started watching this show, and it is the name of the evil company in the first season of the Resident. So I thought you guys were playing a prank on me.
Unfortunate for us, for anyone who actually watches the show. That's an unfortunate correlation.
Yeah,
but
well,
we're not that.
Yeah, but I mean, the company in that show is pharmaceutical and your IT services. But I just couldn't get over that. I really thought that y'all were pranking me at first. But anyway, so all right, man, let's go have lunch.
Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Absolutely.